Oh yeah, guess I wasn't ready as I thought I was. How is everybody today? 1 o'clock in the afternoon, hauling myself to work. One thing about it, I enjoy my commute to and from work. Anyway, I don't have much time, so I need to get started here. First thing I need to do is a correction. I put out a video the other day remembering 9/11/01, and I was talking about things people tend to remember where they were when they happened. And I mistakenly said the bombing of Pearl Harbor was December 7th, which I got that part right, but then I said 1942. That part's wrong. It was 1941, and I knew better because, you know, I just know better. You know, it's that first part of Roosevelt's speech, December 7th, 1941, a day that will live on in infamy, or something to that effect. So I apologize for that. The correct date is December 7th, 1941. So, got that out of the way now. Sometimes my brain just don't work right. Anyway, I am seeing to where our government has now decided over-the-counter decongestants do not work. That's what they're putting out, that they do not work. I would argue that point. They help me. They do not cure anything. They just treat a symptom. You know, my head and nose get all plugged up with sinuses. My sinuses get all plugged up. Take a decongestant, it helps clear it up and get me to breathing right again. So I'm having trouble with this one. And I keep coming back to just one thing on it, that this keeps people out of doctors' offices and keeps them from spending money on Big Pharma's prescription meds. But anyway, I don't know what the deal is there. I don't know what's going to happen, whether they're getting us prepared to ban those things, pull them off the shelf. I know that I've not seen as many of them on the shelf. But anytime the government comes out something like that, they're up to something. It's a pitiful state when there are so many of us, like myself, that has such distrust with the government anymore. And there's something else. The #1 farmhand sent me a TikTok video. Couple of guys were talking about, well, it was one of those stitch videos. There's like 3 videos there stitched together. I guess that's what they call it. I don't know. But one was a lady talking about how glad she was she could go buy unpasteurized raw milk, which, anyway, that she could go get this from the Amish and how much she liked it. And then it goes to this other guy. So, well, you know, before you get into blah, 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 listen to this. And then another guy pops up in the corner over there and says, well, before you drink raw milk, you should know that you can get tuberculosis from drinking raw milk. And here are these 2 books from these 2 ladies that had it and talk about how terrible their lives were and blah, blah, blah. So I wait a minute. And then, the main guy comes back on and is, yeah, you got to be careful, and it doesn't matter how small the risk, it's not worth it. Well, when the number one farmhand and myself got the opportunity to talk about it, we did. And then we got to doing some research. And yes, you can get tuberculosis from a cow. It's called bovine tuberculosis. So we go to the CDC website, Centers for Disease Control. And I know it's a government entity and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, people like to hear those things. Well, I looked up, and then we discussed, but how many people had tuberculosis first? And this was in 2022 was the statistic, the year the statistics were in. And there were something like 83,000 cases of tuberculosis in 2022 in the United States. And of those 83,000, like 223 or something were bovine variety of tuberculosis. But it didn't go into how they got the bovine tuberculosis. And, there are a few ways that you can get bovine tuberculosis. But, you can get it through drinking raw milk. You can get it if a cow sneezes on you or slobbers on you. And, of course, you can get it through fecal matter and urine. But here's my point. In the United States, now this is all the cases that were reported to the CDC, okay? There was only these, I don't know, maybe it was 320, I don't know, but between 220 and 320 people. Out of the 360 plus million people in the United States, let's go with 320. 320 people got the bovine tuberculosis. It's a pretty small percentage. And if you're concerned, if you're interested in raw milk, find you a source, find your reputable source, one that lets you check out their operation, see how they do things, are they clean, and ask them if they've tested for it. And I'm sure that because tuberculosis tends to come with a cough, they have their cows checked. They have tests run when they get a cough. So anyway, I just found that a little bit dishonest. They weren't actually lying to you about it. It's a little shady, I guess, and that's kind of how it works out there, is they just don't quite give you all the information. He admitted that it was a very, very small risk. Of course, he probably never did the research. And I've been guilty of not doing my complete research too. That's why I always say, or try to always say, do your own research. Go look it up. Google, if you put aside their tracking and targeting of the tracking of data and selling of data, your personal data, and the targeting of ads, put that aside, it can be a useful tool. I don't use Google much, but most people do, so I prefer DuckDuckGo. I don't get targeted with ads, and I can find some things that usually aren't on Google because it goes against the narrative, and Anyway, go do your research. Like I said, if someone, and I know people are like, oh my God, you can get tuberculosis from milk, which is basically true. It's not pasteurized, yes. But also you can pasteurize your own milk. And I think that, all pasteurization is heating, and go look this up. I know it's heating the milk up to a certain temperature. I think that temperature is 165 degrees. But I cannot remember how long because I'm not interested in pasteurization of my milk. But that's all it is. You can do it yourself, It takes you just a few minutes. And you hold it for so many minutes, I don't know. Look it up. And he doesn't mention that. I just wonder. Anyway. So, take everything, even what I'm telling you right now, take it with a grain of salt, go look it up. If you find information contrary to what I said, let me know. I'd like to know, and I'd like to know where you found it, so that I can go read it for myself. And I saw this. I've seen it before. I'm sure anybody that's on Facebook very much at all has seen the meme that shows a Payday candy bar, and it says Payday candy bars are changing their name to something else so that they don't offend those who do not have jobs. Something to that effect. It's funny. That's all it is. It's a joke. Anybody that can take a second to think, oh, that's fine, they're not going to change that. You got to think branding. Although, you never know anymore. But they got fact checked. Somebody fact checked. No, Payday is not changing their name. I'm like, really? You're taking yourself way too serious. Especially after Facebook comes out and has said, old Zuckerman himself has said, our independent fact checkers are not experts at anything. So, they're doing the same thing everybody else should be doing, getting out online, and they're finding the information that proves their point. Which, you ought to be getting all the information, whether it proves your point or disproves your point. I read a lot of information that goes against what I say. So, like I said, do your own research. Don't assume, because I'm on YouTube and I'm an expert. I'm not an expert at anything. Except getting fat. I might be an expert at getting fat and staying that way. But other than that, I don't think I hold expert status at anything. So, I'm just about there. So, we're going to wrap this up. And, let's look out for each other. Let's help each other when we can. Please pray. Just pray. We need all the prayers we can get in this world today. Our leaders are lunatics and morons. So, let's pray. And I'll catch you later.